self-esteem is not something you obtain and you have. It's a process and it's a practice that you continuously do, and you continuously show up as the person that you want to be.
I feel good.
Hello my YouTube family, and welcome back to my channel. Hi there, how you doing, girl? You looking mighty fine, honey. Okay, I see you winning. Welcome back to my channel, and my name is Nombi, and this is the Show Up with Nombi, where I am on a little bit of an experiment to see if I cannot practice self-love by learning how to show up more for myself, for my goals, my dreams and aspirations, and hopefully I learn a few things, and I will be sharing some tips, tricks and tools along the way. So if you are like me and you know you've got all the potential in the world, but you just cannot seem to follow through, then honey, you have found your tribe. Okay, sit down, grab a seat, we will dream, plan and do together, honeys, because I promise you one thing: we are going to learn to love ourselves by hell come hell or high waters. Not by hell come hell or high waters. Anyway, how are we showing up today? Today we are showing up by unpacking a little bit more around self-esteem. Okay, so before I get into that, I'm just going to take you through how I found this book, which is actually going to be like the center of my discussion around self-esteem. How I found this book, it was when I was really trying to unpack why am I procrastinating so much. And during this, I found a concept called the self-worth theory that pretty much says that you procrastinate to protect your self-worth, especially when you feel that you are not good enough to do a certain thing, or you are not good enough for something, right? You really will procrastinate because you are trying to protect yourself from those feelings of not being good enough, or from confirming that you are not good enough. So you will try and not do the thing, or try and leave it to the last minute until the fear of not doing it at all overtakes your fear of not being good enough. Okay? And in a way also, it allows you to have a very neat excuse if you don't achieve that. Oh, I only had 10 minutes to do this, or I did this in a day, and that's probably the reason why I didn't do my best. So upon this, I then started thinking about how not feeling good enough holds you back from a lot of the things. And it's not enough to just sit in front of the mirror, do your affirmations and say, I am beautiful, I am gorgeous, I am enough, I am enough, I am enough. When you don't feel good enough, how do you move from that path? How do you move on? And this is really how I found this book on self-esteem. So the book is called The 6 Pillars of Self-Esteem, and it's by Nathaniel Brandon. So essentially, it's around what is self-esteem, and it's really feeling that you are appropriate to the requirements of life, and acknowledging that you as a person are good enough. You are appropriate, you're appropriate, and you are who you are, and who you are is enough as a person, right? It's got nothing to do with feeling beautiful, feeling gorgeous. It's really saying that I am appropriate to the requirements of life, and I have the right skills to go after what I want to go after. So that's just a little bit summary of how I got into this book. And in this video, we are really going to be touching on those 6 pillars of self-esteem, and I will just be taking you through them. And I would suggest that you read the book for yourself as well, because it really helped me. So guys, let us get into this video. We are going to get started with the first pillar, which is the practice of living consciously. So this one is one of my favorites. So I'm just going to be going through my notes to make sure that I really touch on everything. And I'm going to be reading through 1 or 2 quotes that absolutely touched me around this. So one of the things that really touched me that he was speaking about was that living consciously is living responsibly towards reality. We do not necessarily have to like what we see, but we recognize that which is, and that which is not, is not. Wishes or fears or denials do not alter facts. If a statement is true, my denying it will not make it false. I love this because it's really saying that I see the world and I accept the situation for what it truly is, and not just something that I would love for it to be, but it's really what is and what is not. And my denying it does not make it not true. So this whole thing of denying things or choosing to not think about these things will not make them false. They will still be the truth and the matter of fact. And he goes on to say, thus, when we live consciously, we do not confuse the subjective with the objective. We do not imagine that our feelings are an infallible guide to the truth. We can learn from our feelings, to be sure, and they may even point us in the right direction of important facts, but this will entail reflection and reality testing, and this entails the participation of reason. Oh, preach, Mr. Nathaniel, because wow, that was a lot. So I love how it touches on our feelings. Our feelings are valid, but they do not alter reality. And I think that's one of the hardest truths that we do not want to face as humans. When you live consciously, you acknowledge reality and you acknowledge your feelings, but you do not assume that your feelings will change what the truth is. The truth is the truth, and you see the world for what it truly is. Okay. That was a lot. I feel like by the end of this video, I will have so many, preach, that I'm going to be in church. I'm going to be in church during this video, guys. Like, woo. Like, wow. Okay, so the next pillar is the practice of self-acceptance. One of my personal favorites. This one is so powerful to me, and I think this is one of those pillars. When I really looked at it and I unpacked it, I really got to learn a lot about myself and really accept me for who I am, and not for who I was yesterday or the day before, but for who I am, and saying that I am valid as a person. So 1 or 2 points I'm going to touch on that Mr. Nathaniel preaches on is that there are 3 levels to the self-acceptance, right? The first level is basically to be on my side, to be for myself, to root for me as a person. In the most fundamental sense, self-acceptance refers to an orientation of self-value, self-commitment that derives from the fact that I am alive and I am conscious. So it's to be there for me. The second level of self-acceptance is it is our willingness to experience rather than to disown whatever may be the facts of being at a particular moment, to think our thoughts, our feelings, to be present in the reality of our behavior. I absolutely love the second level because it talks about how to acknowledge the feelings that I'm feeling, to acknowledge how I'm thinking in the moment in time without feeling the need to disown or to disapprove however the emotion is or the feeling is, to really acknowledge and accept that in this moment, this is how I'm feeling. He goes on to touch on how, yes, I don't want to work. I understand that. I don't feel like it. I feel that, but that doesn't mean it needs to change the work and the nature of what I was meant to do. So really, I'm sure you can already catch on about this book. Your feelings are valid and important, but do not live in your feelings. The third level is really around the idea of compassion and being a friend to myself. So self-acceptance does not deny reality. It does not argue that what is wrong is really right, but it inquires into the context in which the action was taken. It wants to understand the why. It wants to know why something is wrong and inappropriate, but you still felt the desire to do it. If you think about when you are a good friend, you are a friend that is honest, that is truthful and that really lays the facts for what they are, but you do not judge the person. You try and understand what they were coming from or how they got to thinking the way they were thinking, but you still love them nonetheless. So this is all about being a friend to yourself. Okay, honeys. Okay. Woo! Already I am like, Mr. Nathaniel, serve us. We are your platters. Okay, we are your platters, honey. Okay, the third one. Ooh, the third one. I love the third one. The third one is the practice of self-responsibility. Ooh, this one is tough for a lot of us to take, and it's going to be throwing some shade in your way, but it is the truth, okay? It is the truth. So, with self-responsibility, it's more around the willingness to take responsibility for my actions and the attainment of my goals. Self-responsibility shows up as an active orientation to work and life rather than a passive one. Do I even need to explain that, guys? It's understanding that I need to take responsibility for my own life, right? And yes, things will happen. And I love that he goes on to talk about how even though you take responsibility for your actions, it doesn't mean you need to take responsibility for the environment that happens around you. He goes on to say, some things we have control over, others we do not. If I hold myself responsible for the matters beyond my control, I put my self-esteem in jeopardy, since I inevitably will fail my expectations. If I deny responsibility for matters that are within my control, again, I jeopardize my self-esteem. I need to know the difference between that which is up to me and that which is not. And I think a lot of us ladies struggle with this one, right? Because we go and hold ourselves responsible for everyone's feelings, everyone's emotions, and everyone else, and how I could have helped the situation. But that is unfair to your self-esteem, because you can only control what is within your span of control. Apart from that, you are being unfair to yourself. So do not be unfair to yourself, honeys. Okay. So the fourth one is the practice of self-assertiveness. Ooh, for this one, I actually wish I was wearing my shirt that has got that girl power sign, because this is really, I think, if I look at it, it's really what my t-shirt is really talking about. So, what does self-assertiveness entail? Self-assertiveness means honoring my wants, my needs, and values, and seeking appropriate forms of their expression in reality. It is the willingness to stand up for myself, to be who I am openly, to treat myself with respect in all human encounters. It means the refusal to fake me just so that I can be liked. Yes, Mr. Nathaniel. You took my shirt and you put it in a sentence. Okay. So really, this is around being authentic, being true to who you are, and standing up for who you are and saying, this is me, and I am present, I am me, and you will not shake me. He goes on to talk about the practice of self-assertiveness logically and consistently is to be committed to my right to exist. Oof, I have to repeat that one. The practice of self-assertiveness logically and consistently is to be committed to my right to exist. I have a right to exist, guys, okay? I have a right to be here, and my right to exist proceeds from the knowledge that my life does not belong to others, and that I am not here on earth to live up to someone else's expectations. This really frees you from wanting to live up to anyone's expectations but yourself, okay? And it really allows you to focus on what truly will help you become a better person and will help you to become a person that you like, versus you becoming a person that everyone else likes. Like, it's not worth it, okay? So, aunties, I hope you're still with me, because like I am spitting so many truths that I feel like, what? I need a minute, okay? I need a drink. Hold up, because woo, the truths are coming. Oh, I got my drink. And then moving on, because I'm gonna take a few sips. Honey. Moving on to the fifth pillar, it is the practice of living purposefully. So, the practice of living purposefully is really just around finding my purpose and pursuing it and consistently working towards that. It is around being intentional with my actions so that I can achieve what I want to achieve. So, it goes to outline just about four steps around this whole process of living purposefully that I just want to touch on. So number one, it is taking responsibility for formulating one's goals and purposes consciously. And then number two, being concerned to identify the actions that are necessary for me to achieve one's goals. And number three, monitoring behavior to check that this is in alignment with my goals. And number four is paying attention to the outcomes of my actions and to know whether they are leading to where I want to go. Living purposefully is not saying I have a purpose and just aimlessly going for it. It's around always taking responsibility. I love how it goes to touch on self-responsibility of going after my goals and then checking that I'm still on the right track, because you will get swayed. So it says nothing about beating yourself up when you realize you're not on the right track. No, it talks about really checking where I am and checking in and seeing, is this still in line, and how do I move and how do I realign my things so that I will continue to live according to the purpose that I have set for myself. Okay, honeys, and the very last pillar is the practice of personal integrity. This one is very spiritual for me because it really touches on the soul and the heart and how I feel about myself and how I judge me as Nompi. The practice of self-integrity is really around, am I honest? Am I reliable? Am I trustworthy? Do I keep my promises? Do I do the things I say I admire? And do I avoid the things I say I don't admire? Am I fair and just with my dealings with others? It's around integrity. But if you look at it, it's really around am I? It's you asking yourself this question. It's not around other people. Yes, it's important what other people think about you. Yes, it matters. But this really is more around your internal feelings with yourself and really wrestling with those emotions and understanding, are you showing up as who you say you are? Are you intentional in your ways of working, in your ways of moving? So it goes to touch on this, which is a very important factor. It says, when we behave in ways that conflict our judgment of what is appropriate, we lose faith with our own eyes. We respect ourselves less. If the policy becomes habitual, we trust ourselves less and cease to trust ourselves at all. So this is really what has been happening with me around my procrastination journey and all of these things. I stopped trusting myself at some point because I would promise to do this and I will procrastinate until it's not done. And if you can't trust yourself, you don't believe in anything that you say. You will say, I will wake up at 3 o'clock, and there's that voice in the back of your head that goes, yeah, right, you know you will not do that. So really, this is a very important one for me. And really, it's really around like understanding how you feel about yourself and how the effects of not being who you want to be or not showing up as the person you want to be, how they can really take over your life. Imagine not being able to trust yourself. Like, that is a heavy weight to carry, because then you do not feel worthy. You can't live consciously. You can't accept yourself. You don't take responsibility anymore of who you are. So it really brings in all the other pillars. This one is super important. And it goes on to say that I know a lot of us are more like looking at what other people think of ourselves, about us, and not so much about what we think. So as long as nobody knows, we think we're okay. But this starts eating you inside. And it goes on to touch on, I have more to fear from my own judgment than from anyone else's. In the inner courtroom of my mind, mine is the judgment that counts. I am the judge from whom there is no escape. I can avoid people who have learned the humiliating truth about me, but I cannot avoid myself. Ooh, it really gets into that thing of you being honest with yourself and your current situation, right? And who you are. You can hide that from others, but you can't hide that to yourself. And that is really a very powerful statement. And when you, if you are feeling like this and you are in a state of feeling like I have done so much to myself, I will advise you to look at the practice of self-acceptance and the practice of self-assertiveness while you're reading the book. Self-acceptance is really around saying, yes, I am who I am now. I acknowledge those emotions that I'm feeling. So the integrity will allow me to actually face those emotions and face where I'm at. And then self-acceptance will allow me to accept them and understand that this is my truth and my reality today. But then just because you've accepted, it does not mean that you do not improve. That is a lie. And don't let anyone else tell you different. Because if you're going to take responsibility, you're going to move towards your goals. If you're going to live purposefully, you're going to move towards your goals. So all of these pillars intertwine together, and it is a continuous process of practice. What I love most about this, it's the practice of. I love how it's not just living purposefully and it goes, you just need to learn how to live purposefully. It's the practice. It's a continuous journey that you keep doing, and you keep practicing this continuously on a daily basis. Self-esteem is not something you obtain and you have. It's a process and it's a practice that you continuously do, and you continuously show up as the person that you want to be. So honeys, I hope you guys kept up. That was a lot, but really I'm still very new on this journey. I have listened to this book like 3 times, and every time I listen to it, I just discover more things. I will just like to emphasize before I end this video around the practice. So it's not enough to go and read this book or listen to the audiobook, but you need to practice and continue to show up. And when you don't show up today, forgive yourself, live and understand that, you know what, some days it's tough, but tomorrow I am showing up. Okay, honeys, okay. If you guys would like for me to just talk about these on a video individually more, I am happy to do so, because this has absolutely changed my life, and it's changing my life as we speak, and I would love to share more with you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you learned something, honeys. Okay, today I was mellow because, like, you can't be so dramatic when Father Nathaniel is spitting so many truths. Okay, it is hard to be dramatic and crazy because, you feel humbled and you feel convicted. So, thank you. Have a good one. And remember to dream, plan, and do, so you can level up, honeys. I will see you next time. And please, before we go, don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell your friends. Okay, share with your sisters. Okay, don't be stingy now. Don't be trying to like level up alone. Share with your friends and your sisters and your aunties and everyone around you, so that we can dream, plan, and do, and level up together, honeys. Okay, I will see you next time. Have a good one. Have a great weekend. And you know what, girl, you got this. You got this, because you are the girl who makes the things happen. You are the girl you think you are. I will see you next time. I don't know how many times I've said that. Bye.